Shin Chan, Shiro, and the Cold Town is a game that came out earlier this year in Japan and has finally made its way to the West for the Nintendo Switch and PC. Having played its predecessor, Summer Vacation, I was excited to see how this game would improve on that formula. By the time I finished it, I was a bit sad that the game felt much shorter. That is before I looked at my playtime and saw that I had played it for over 20 hours. Looks like time simply flew by, and that's usually a good sign. My name's Globku, and this is my review for Shin Chan, Shiro, and the Cold Town. If you haven't played the previous Shin Chan, the best way to describe this game is vibes, man. It's a relaxing game about exploration and collecting a bunch of different things. Though this time around, it's a lot more mission-focused. The game does a better job of driving the story forward and communicates what it expects from the player a lot better if they want to keep progressing. However, it still does it in a way that doesn't push the player to do so if they just want to take their time and wander around this beautiful environment, catching bugs, gathering plants, and fishing. The game does feel like a direct sequel to Summer Vacation, but only in the way that it evolves its gameplay systems. Story-wise, both of these games are extremely self-contained, that you absolutely do not need to have played the previous game at all. A lot of its mechanics may be familiar, but the game is also not complicated by any means, so you'll pick it up in no time. The first thing that drew me to this game was definitely its style and presentation. The crude art style of Shin Chan contrasting with incredibly beautiful and well-crafted backgrounds just felt so unique. And that was the main draw that made me explore the previous game, Summer Vacation. This game keeps that style and even improves on it. You have a brand new location to explore and expand. Not all of it is available from the get-go. As you meet new characters, some of them may have missions for you to complete, and only after you complete them will the whole area become available to you. So the game does a good job at easing you into this place, not only by slowly introducing you to more and more of its areas, but also by slowly introducing you to more of its characters. It starts with just Shinosuke and his family who are visiting his grandparents. The dad is here for a big job opportunity, and this is his hometown. Over time, you will meet more and more characters like the kids that live around the area, the cheapskate uncle that tells you should get a wallet, but the biggest surprise is an entire second area called Cold Town. This place is a lot less grounded in reality. It's a lot more colorful than anything this game or its prequel ever did, and the style is incredible. As you can see, a lot of the buildings are all bent. It gives this place a very surreal feeling, and it comes with its own set of quirky characters. You've been brought to this town by Sumi. She needs your help to save it. Something bad is about to happen to it, and I wonder if the evil-looking guy has anything to do with that. A great place to learn more about Cold Town is the bathhouse, which you can visit at any time to hear some rumors. These often serve as story clues or simple gameplay hints. The story is great, by the way. Kept me super engaged all the way through. It is silly, it is lighthearted. Very often you just gather some materials, throw it into a machine, and it spits out the perfect invention you need for each situation. But towards the end, I was not ready for how crazy bonkers it got, and that's after playing Summer Vacation, which had dinosaurs and time travel. This one is insane. Most of the story happens here in Cold Town, but it's always fun to see Shin Chan return home, tell his family about his day and this whole parallel universe, and the parents going, "You sure you didn't dream that?" And much like the previous game, time advances every time you switch screens, going from daytime to evening to night. And there are some really good looking transitions for the different times of day. Sometimes they are simple still screens, others have humorous scenes with Shinosuke and family. On top of that, Shinosuke's grandfather is a big character this time around. They often chat with each other about all kinds of things, and a lot of these conversations are voice acted. In fact, most of the main quests are voiced, and the localization is actually awesome. The writing in Shin Chan is very heavy on puns, and they do a really great job coming up with brand new puns that actually work in English. If you understand a little bit of Japanese, it can be jarring because what you hear and what you're reading isn't exactly the same, but directly translating puns normally doesn't work. This is only a problem because Japanese is the only voice option available. Even though the game has a lot of text languages, when it comes to audio, there are unfortunately no other options. Good story, good presentation, good vibes. Let's see if the gameplay supports all of that too. The game is very basic. You walk around or you hit the sprint button and Shinosuke turns into the butt alien. That's actually how you sprint and move faster in the game, just like the prequel. And as you explore, you can catch shinies from the ground, which might be plants or minerals. You catch bugs with your net, you fish with your fishing rod, or the brand new crustacean fishing, which you do with this stick. The mechanic works pretty much the same, it's just an extra creature to look out for. You can do some gardening, and this time around your dog, Shiro, is with you all day long. And sometimes it will find some rare items for you to pick up. At its core, this game is a collectathon, much like the previous game. You can aim to find every type of bug, fish, plant, and now also minerals. And even though the game is a lot more mission focused this time around, most of the missions are also about collecting a certain number of materials. So no longer is this about finding one of each type. There are quests that require up to 50 of a single item, which can definitely feel grindy. Many quests require you to find a specific rare item, and even though you have some idea of where these items spawn, the spawns are still completely random, which can have you switching screens over and over, praying that the right kind of material or plant just shows up. But gathering these isn't always your only option for collecting them. The game has a couple of vendors that sell you all kinds of materials, and very often they will have what you need. And so will the bulletin boards, which work a bit differently from the previous game. This used to be all about money. You bring items to the bulletin board and you get money in exchange, but now it works more like trading. You bring them one type of item and you get another type in return. Sometimes you still get money, but it's more than that this time around. There are a couple more things this game does a lot better than its predecessor. First of all, there's no hunger meter this time around, so Shinosuke won't simply pass out in the middle of the street, and there's no time limit either. Previously, you had a set number of weeks, and by the end of each week, something would happen that would move the story forward. But this time, you can stay on the same story quest for as long as you'd like, as many days as it takes. In fact, you can even adjust how fast you want days to go by in the options menu. For me, the default worked great, because while sometimes it may feel like the day ends too quickly and you weren't done catching bugs, others, there are quests that literally just require you to come back the following day, which can be quite annoying if you run into this very early in the morning. That means you can't advance the story at all for a whole day. Luckily, there are a ton of side activities that you could be doing at any point, so even if this happens to you, there's something for you to do. Besides completing your collection of bugs, fish, plants, and minerals, there are many sub-missions or side quests this time around, which, you guessed it, are mostly about collecting more items. But a lot of them also have very meaningful rewards, like unlocking brand new areas for you to explore, or allowing you to carry more money by getting a bigger wallet. And the menu's got a great overhaul compared to the previous game. Everything is a lot easier to navigate. It's a lot clearer what you need to collect in order to complete each mission. And even if you're done with all your missions, there are always optional objectives to complete for the true completionists out there. In Coal Town, one of your main side activities is going to be helping this lady revive her restaurant. And so a lot of submissions in Coal Town will be about coming up with new recipes for the restaurant. The owner will give you a list of ingredients, and after you gather them, that dish becomes a part of the food menu. Once a day, you can talk to a customer who will give you a somewhat vague description of what they want, and you have to guess what they mean by, for example, a tasty looking meal that appeared during an investigation scene on this random drama the kid watched yesterday. And so you look at the options you've made so far, read their descriptions, and try your luck. And I think this time we got it right on the money. This is a great way to earn some pocket money, so you don't have to hunt for materials so much and can just buy them instead. That said, I recommend saving that money if you're gonna try to be a completionist. There's some very expensive stuff out there, and a big reason for that is this title's minigame. If you've played Summer Vacation, I bet this game is sounding very familiar, albeit with some upgrades, but it's missing something, right? If you recall, back then you used to have these Pokemon-like battles using dinosaurs, and so far there hasn't been anything like that in this game. So I was fully expecting it to also have its side minigame, and it did not disappoint. The minigame this time around is trolley races. Coal Town is a town of miners, and so trolley races are their most popular sport. Gameplay-wise, it looks simple. You can just hold the accelerator, but you have to let go around tight turns, or the trolley will come to a full stop and you will lose some points. And you just keep going until the timer runs out. This isn't about getting first place, it's actually about getting more points than the opponent, which you do by getting these crystals and finishing laps. But you can also make the opponent lose points by bumping into them, and you can lose points yourself by taking turns too fast. In between races, you can buy new trolleys and parts for your trolley, which have a significant impact in game. They maneuver better or they are faster, and the parts, you can take 3 of them into each race. Depending on what you choose, you might shoot your opponent or pick a drill that destroys obstacles in front of you. I spent a very long time completing every single challenge here and then repeating some of these races, as they become a great way of farming some of those rare materials that sometimes you are required to collect. And honestly, I had a lot of fun doing it. With that said, it's time to score this game, and if you're new here, we use letters for our scores from F all the way to A, and this is my score for Shin Chan, Shiro, and the Coal Town.
B. お知り合い
Time just flew by while playing this. I had a great time. The game is pretty simple if you break down its mechanics, but it accomplishes exactly what it sets out to do. And yes, it can be frustrating because of the random material spawns. You can have a great experience, or you may get stuck early on and quit the game. And it can also feel grindy at times if you're trying to be a completionist. At the end of the day, it has its faults, and it's not the most ambitious game by any means, but if vibes are what you're looking for, then I highly recommend this. And that's my review for Shin Chan, Shiro, and the Cold Town. But if you play the game and have some thoughts of your own, let everyone know in the comments below. That way, people not only have my opinion, but they can read yours as well. And if you want to watch some gameplay of the first 3 in-game days, you can check that out right here. Thank you so much for watching. Boy.